Hey guys! So today we are going to try a writing experiment because I wanted to. Also, I kind of need to. So for me, it is still a little bit, I have a week and a half or so before NaNoWriMo starts, but for you guys as you're watching this, NaNoWriMo has already begun and I am in the process of moving. So this is kind of prep, but you might need it during your first week anyway, so it's all good. So a while ago, I had to read a self-help book that is right now over 50 years old, and I struggle to see how it has anything to do with my job, to be perfectly honest, or writing, but there were some things that might be applicable. So we're gonna go over that today, and what the book was The Effective Executive by, hold on, it was by editing Corey. Will put it on the screen because I can't be bothered to go check. Most of the book was not useful in the slightest to me and my life, because it was like hiring people and, oh my god, computers are going to take over all our jobs, which didn't happen because computers are expensive to maintain if they're AI systems, and ain't nobody going to pay for that because greed is a thing, but you know, whatever. But the very first chapter, the first real chapter anyway, did have a really great piece of advice when it came to time management, and that's what I'm actually going to try out today in my experiment. So the advice was, instead of starting to create a schedule at the beginning of your day and trying to follow it, or worse, writing down what you did near the end of the day or at random parts of the day, instead you were supposed to keep an accurate time log of what you actually did in the day and how much time it took in the process of doing it. So, for example, once you're done with a task, immediately writing down what time it is, so you could take accurate stock of how much time activities took, what activity you did when, and you get a really realistic view of how you spent your actual time. The crazy thing about the human mind is that it's actually really horrible about timekeeping, except for really major things like routines of waking up and going to sleep. It'll be maybe a little more accurate depending on how good your routine is. But when it comes to guessing how much time it took you to complete a job, the human mind is not very reliable, and more often than not, if we try to recount what we did in the day at the end of the day, we'll tend to recount it completely wrong. It can also show where you could be overdoing it and overworking in certain areas, which is something I think I might have a problem with, because as you might have seen in my I Tried to Write Like Kate Kavanaugh in a Day, I will link that in this video, I had a really hard time drinking my water or any other beverage I had and eating food while writing. I really can't multitask like that. So if I had water next to me, I would write for about an hour or 2 hours and I would barely have any of that water. I might have a sip or two and that's about it. And that means I was dehydrating myself. So what I'm going to try today is I'm going to try to have breaks a little bit more frequently, maybe every 20 minutes. I'm going to try to set an alarm on my phone, so every once in a while my phone will go off and that will remind me to stop what I'm doing and to drink some water, because my body's not cueing me in, or if it is, I'm not hearing it while I'm in the midst of working. So hopefully this will show some of my problem areas as a creator and just for time management in general. It's dry and it seems boring. Honestly, during NaNoWriMo, this is probably one of the key things that will help you during this time. You need to find a way to not only take time to write, but time to be effective when you write. So another aspect of the book that was somewhat interesting was speaking about playing to strengths and really making sure those are emphasized to their greatest and given the best opportunity possible. So for me, for example, I work best with ambiance music on. Normal music is distracting to me, voices tend to be distracting to me, and the ambiance has to be particular. If it's just rain and thunderstorms, I tend to go to sleep, but if it's varied with fireplace, heavy wind, the sound of pages being turned, that actually really keeps my interest, and it's just enough variance for me to pay attention, but not so much that it's distracting. And Autumn Cozy, my favorite channel here on YouTube, just posted a video that is perfect. It's got all the sounds I love, and it is called Writer's Block. I'm so excited about it. I'll go ahead and link it down in the description box in case you guys are curious about checking it out. I'm so excited to use that today. And I'll link a few other ambiances down below that are really good, including one that does have voices in case you need that. I know a lot of people are around the world are in isolation, depending on your country, self-isolation because of Corona. So if you need the sound of people, that's a really good one. There are also tons of live streams happening here on YouTube as well. Please participate if you feel you need to. Hopefully by this time, quarantines are easing up and a lot of people are getting better, but it's really hard to say at this point in time. We're getting new information every day. So best of luck for all of us. I'm going to try to go about my day and time keep, and I will check in with you later. I had to change out the memory card real quick, so I have no idea where I left off. But suffice to say, I didn't end up setting really great goals for myself. So I think that's kind of where I failed today. I should have had a little bit of a clearer goal, or at the very least, I should have done a little bit better about maybe doing a little bit more outlining, even if it was really, really rough for the short story I'm doing, because I'm kind of doing it as I go, which is causing me to lose sight in a few places. Sometimes I can do that with short stories and it's fine, and this one I think I'm being more finicky with it than usual. So yeah, it's been a little bit difficult to feel satisfied, I guess, with the amount of work I've done, even though I'm definitely getting closer to the end. I'm not at the end, and the only goal I really set for myself is I wanted to finish a short story, which I'm kind of thinking won't occur today. So moral of the story is, I guess, in addition to keeping track of your time, you really need to figure out some kind of way of measuring your work, which I know, but for whatever reason didn't do today. So that's something to try next time. But as for how useful this is for writers, especially during NaNoWriMo, I actually do think it's somewhat useful, because if you're keeping track of your time, you do know where there are bits of time that's kind of wasted. Like, I took a really long time to eat my morning meal, which is somewhat normal. Usually I don't like sitting down and eating it. I'll like eat something while doing other things. So in this case, like, I ate a little bit, I was filming the intro for this, I also got my laundry started, and I think I started my taxes. I was doing 5 or 6 different things, which looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have done. I think there was something in that book about only doing one thing at a time, but like, the morning meal is the most boring meal in the day for me. I think it's really, truly boring meal. And it doesn't matter what I make, I just find it boring. So for me, it's really hard for me to just sit down and eat and enjoy a morning meal. I'm just like, I want to just get this over with because I don't want to be eating this. And again, it doesn't matter what I make. I just think it's always boring. I don't know why. Something about morning meals, I'm just so bored with them. So I usually do other things at the same time, but yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I definitely need to set better goals for myself. I am glad that I did. I'm happy with how much water I drank today. That was a good thing. So I did succeed at one of my goals for a day, which was to drink more water, because I'm having a hard time remembering to do that. So I did drink plenty of water today. I'm gonna keep drinking water. I've just been keep filling this glass over and over again with water, so that's been going well. So I think if you're having trouble with like meals and remembering to drink water or other fluids, this still might be a pretty good thing to try, especially when you're pairing it with timers. which is what I did. I used the Forest app, and I just went 20-minute increments, and then I would take a 5 or 10-minute break to drink water, go to the bathroom, get a snack. Mostly I just drank water. I didn't really eat mini snacks. I need to eat dinner. What time is it? Oh, it's 7. I should probably eat dinner. But yeah. So do I recommend this to people who are in NaNoWriMo? If you're having a hard time figuring out where the time is going, which if you're working a job at the same time, definitely could be happening, or if you're not really reaching your goals, I think this is one way where you might be able to see where some of your time could be tightened up. It can also show where time might not be managed appropriately. Like for me, because I had things blocked out the way I did, I was able to easily jot down, like at a certain point, like I had to take a bigger break, and because I had to write that down, that I took a break from writing that was longer than the initial 10 minutes, I know that my attention span, for whatever reason, just kind of broke at that point. Now, that doesn't mean my attention span is always going to break at that point. I do think it's kind of a case-by-case basis a little bit sometimes, but it gives me a rough estimate of what my attention span is like right now, and where some possible problem areas are for the future. So I think it's good information, and at the very least, it makes you really, really aware of what you're doing in your day. Because I was writing this down throughout my day, I was very hyper aware of how many sprints I was doing. I was very aware of, hey, what are you doing? So I tend to veg out a lot, which is I think what happened yesterday and why nothing got done yesterday. I was vegging out a ton because I wasn't keeping track of what I was doing, whereas this forced me to think about it. So there were no moments really in my day where I just wasn't doing something. This did force me to focus. So if you're finding yourself kind of in a daze and walking around a lot, especially if you've got a lot of work, maybe this would be something that would kind of focus your attention a little bit more, because you are writing down what you're doing. And because nobody really wants to write down zoned out for 1 hour, I don't know, maybe you do, but most people don't want to write something like that down, so you're more likely to be like, okay, I'll go ahead and do this. And you might not do it the most effectively, but you're doing something, like washing the dishes or something like that. So if you're finding time is getting away from you, it's a good exercise. It can really show you where you could be doing something else, really. It's easier to fix a schedule once you have an idea of how you work in the day, versus trying to create the perfect schedule and then follow it only to fail inevitably, because that's not how you personally work. I think this is a really good indicator of how I work. Like I definitely need some kind of break from the writing, but I don't think I want my breaks to be something like chores, because I'd rather have gotten the chores done first. So I do still want to make sure, if I were to create a schedule in the future, doing any chores first in the morning before I get to writing, so I can kind of think about my writing. And then maybe just be better about, using those large breaks to do something like making full meals, which takes me longer, full cooking, and, listening to some nice music while I do that, or having like a movie playing on my, laptop or cell phone, maybe watch a movie while I'm, in the background. Something like that where I can kind of pull away from my writing and have an adequate break that's longer than just 10 minutes. Maybe utilizing more that way. I didn't take any walks today. That probably would have helped, honestly. Taking a walk does help refocus me quite a lot, and I did not do that today, so I could have done that too. So my evening meal, I did not plan that out at all, and neither did I take a walk. Both of those things probably would have aided me today. And that's something I can tell at a glance because I'm looking at my schedule and I can see that. So yeah, I think this is useful. I think it's very useful, but it is kind of a pain to do. So I don't know if I would do something like this every day. This is something that you kind of experiment with to see what your days are typically like, and then you can fix them from there. It's not necessarily supposed to be a practice you do every day unless you enjoy doing it, but I think it's a good practice to try. So I hope you guys are doing really, really well in NaNoWriMo. Happy first week. and I hope I'm moving in well. I guess you guys will see soon, but yeah, the next time you guys see me, I will be in my new apartment, so see you there. Bye, good luck.